and welcome to Diecast Restos. I'm Jason and this is a Lesney Matchbox 38B Vauxhall Victor Estate. It was in the range between 1963 and 1967. It was also the second Vauxhall Victor to enter the series following the 38B Victor FA Saloon. This estate version is based on the 1961-64 FB Series Victor. The 38B went out of production in 1965, meaning that two generations of Victor were in the Matchbox line for 2 years, both receiving similar shades of yellow paint. And I have two Victors to restore today, albeit two FB estates in poor condition for differing reasons. While the former had little paint remaining, this has nearly all of it, except it's being covered in a layer of thin black paint across the top side. Here's how they should look, this being a match to my red interior bestowed car. And this is a real 1962 Vauxhall Victor FB estate. The casting replaced the 38A Carrier Bantam refuse truck in 1963, appearing in yellow throughout its production run. As seen with my two examples, there are evident variations. The interior piece could either be red or pale green plastic. Wheels were all plastic and either coloured black, silver or grey. It had an opening rear hatch for added play value. The hinge is secured by the clear plastic window piece, which is riveted onto the inside of the roof of the casting. Often, if you find these models second hand, you'll find they're missing this rear hatch as they are quite fragile at the hinge. I was lucky and had two in complete condition, though I managed to snap the window piece. But then I snapped one of the boot lids too. Turns out they are really delicate. I already had a reproduction window piece lined up as it had a bit of a split already. However, I need to fix the broken hatch myself. I would attempt this after removing the paint from the broken pieces and whatever remained on the rest of the casting. During its 4 years in production, little else changed on the 38B except for the variations that continued throughout. The Victor was a large family car produced by Vauxhall, a subsidiary of General Motors, between 1957 and 1976. I restored the 38A F-Series Victor back in late 2020, where I covered the history of the Victor up until the FB, so I shall carry on from where I left off. The FB lost all of the American influence styling of its predecessor. While the old Victor was widely exported to the US, it was stopped in 1961 with this model. As a result, sales fell short of the FA, with 328,000 produced up to 1964, compared to the 390,000 of the former. GM had decided to focus attention on their homegrown compact models instead of importing the Vauxhall. The engine on the FB was revised and later enlarged from 1500 to 1600cc in 1963. A 4-on-the-floor transmission was an option, with a 3-speed column change fitted as standard. Front disc brakes became an option in 1963. A sportier version of the saloon called the VX490 was offered from 1961, which had twin carburettors. It was distinguished by a coloured side strip, revised grille and larger clusters for the tail lights. These changes made it visually similar to the Canadian market badge engineered Envoy FB. Internally it had individual instead of bench front seats and full instrumentation. The FC replaced the FB in 1963 and introduced curved side window glass to Vauxhall, which allowed for a greater internal width. Despite the estate being praised for being spacious, the public perceived the FC as a step down in quality compared to the FB. Significant rust problems didn't help sales, with just over 230,000 Victor and VX490s produced this generation. Things didn't improve for the 1967-72 FD either. The car arrived at a time of a currency crisis and failing labour relations. Both spelt out reduced quality and increasing prices. Two new engines arrived for the Victor, a 1.6 and a 2-litre inline 4. From 1968, Vauxhall produced the Ventura, an FD Victor married to a 3.3 litre straight six borrowed from the Cresta and Viscount. This leap in performance distinguished the Ventura from the rest of the FD range. It was the last Victor to be sold in Canada as either an Envoy or as a Vauxhall, and the last to be sold or assembled in New Zealand. Neither adopted the 1972-78 FE series. The new model, while only 2 inches longer than the FD, boasted 1.5 inches more legroom in the front and 4 inches more legroom in the rear compartment. All the while, there was little loss in the amount of boot space available. The floor pan of the FE Victor was shared with the Opel Rekord D, though the exteriors were unique. It was the final Vauxhall to be developed independently of Opel. FD engines were carried over, though enlarged to 1.8 and 2.2 litres respectively. VX490 and Ventura models continued, including a Ventura Estate, utilising the 3.3 litre straight six. A smaller 2.8 litre straight six was available in some markets. By 1976, sales of the FE had slumped to 55,000 units. With ongoing energy crises and failing exports, the Victor was revised and renamed as the VX series, either the VX 1800 or VX 2300, depending on engine choice. Though the Victor name had been dropped in 1976, the FE series was finally discontinued in 1978, replaced by the Vauxhall Carlton, equivalent to Opel's Rekord E. Now, with one of my castings effectively done, in the sense of it being fully restored, I turn my attention to the other. This model I will add those few extra touches that Lesney missed out on at the production line. This includes trim to the rear bumper, door handles and rear light clusters, which I then fill in with red and orange Sharpie respectively. My reproduction window piece was a little loose, so I dab a bit of glue on to help better secure it. It's all a bit fiddly while having to balance that rear hatch in place, so please bear with me while my hands get in the way of the shot. With that all sitting nicely in place, I insert the washed plastic interior. I can then thread through the tow hook that helps secure the back end and align the rivet post at the front. And then all I need to do is screw it together. So here's my pair of weary Victors, looking rather aged. One had virtually no paint remaining at all, while the other had gained some extra across its roof. This has been a restoration I've been putting off for a while I searched for a suitably pale shade of yellow. I think the Ford Jasmine yellow that I've found is about as good as I'm going to get out of a rattle can. It's much less vivid than the Tamiya yellow I used on this casting's older brother at 45A. So let's take a look at them now. The red interior and silver plastic wheel car has been fully restored to Lesney's factory spec, so simply front bumper and grille trim only. The green interior and black wheeled car took this formula and had it extended, with door handle trim, rear bumper trim and tail lights all added in for that touch of extra flair. One of those rear hatches had broken, but I couldn't tell you which looking at them. The fix was pretty seamless. And the red car had a replacement windscreen fitted due to a split in the original one that turned into a full-on break. So which one do you prefer? Leave me a comment with your fave and click like if you like them both. Tell me if you'd like to see more of these restorations with a custom or resto mod to go alongside them. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. But all that leaves me to say is thanks for watching, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.